The next time someone disrespects you, they have the audacity to be out of line with you. You're not going to fumble. You're going to repeat after me. You're going to save this. You're going to rehearse this in the mirror. You're going to pause firstly, let them sit in it for a couple of seconds, make it awkward. And then you're going to say, do you treat everyone like this, or are you explicitly asking me to tolerate it?
You go, girl! You get it, girl! You hear that? You got it, girl!
So, in other words, your response to a man's blunt honesty is to think of the most mediocre comeback you could think of, rehearse it in the mirror for hours on end, and just sit and wait for him to do the same thing to you again? Or you could, you know, be an adult and move on with your life. We both know that what he said to you wasn't that bad. If it was, you'd be ugly crying while putting on makeup and screaming about how hard your life is. So whatever this guy said was clearly nowhere out of line, let alone disrespectful. But to be fair, you're a modern woman. The mistreatment bar is constantly moving depending on how attractive you find the particular man. You see, if an average man openly calls you out on your hypocrisy or your obvious mediocrity, then you take that as an insult to the character you pretend to have. But if Chad openly mocks and disrespects you, he's being silly or flirty. And considering you're going to botch your execution of this so-called comeback, we already know what's going on here. The average man grew a pair and defeated you with the one thing that you can't stand.
He's told the truth. That's all.
I will say, the only thing scarier than a guy who is just like actively rude to you in early dating is a guy who claims to be a nice person. And what I mean by that is there's this concept of like nice guy behavior where men feel owed your time, attention, or romantic interest because they're nice. And if you don't give it to them, they rage. Because, surprise, they're not actually nice. So, like, some guys will just be outwardly shitty towards you, and that, you can just see it. But the nice guy thing, it catches you by surprise. Because here you have this guy saying, he's not a boy, he's not like other guys, he's so kind, he's such a nice guy, he doesn't know why girls don't like him. But then if you date him and change your mind, decide you're not interested in him, it's like, immediately, he's gonna play the victim in every way possible.
Oh, wait, you're serious.
So a guy who flies off the handle via text messages are scarier than men who will physically intimidate you to your face? Well, I can't say I'm surprised. Tyrone gets so many hall passes when it comes to his behavior that he could open up an illegal convenience store in the men's bathroom and the female principal would not mind at all. Now, I've always been kind of suspicious of the whole quote-unquote nice guy meme in general. That's not to say it doesn't exist, but when you think about it, modern women have such high standards for men that I find it kind of odd that they would be willing to give these so-called nice guys a chance. Most of these guys already fall into the creeper category by default thanks to their average looks. And even if he didn't fall into the creeper category, she would already preemptively resent him because he fell into the settling category. We hear it all the time. So either this woman has a track record of being a horrible judge of character, or she's basing this off of text message screenshots from a subreddit that may or may not be rage bait.
I'm such a nice guy, this always happens to me, women don't know what they have when they're with me, I'm just so nice, is like the thing you'll hear over and over again. And honestly, if you have to tell me over and over again that you're nice, you're probably not that nice. And actually, being a kind person means doing things for other people without expecting things in return. And like being nice with ulterior motives does not make you nice. So again, it's like the nice guy thing. Oh, I'm so nice, I'm so kind, I don't know why women aren't interested in me, blah, blah, blah. Oh, you're not interested in me? I think you're a terrible person and you're a bitch and go hang out with boys.
It's a fake.
Alrighty, I'm calling it. She's basing this off of a subreddit. Just one look at that vacant face and you can tell that has never happened to her. If it did, she'd be showing the text messages and dragging the guy's name through the mud. That means all of the information she's using has been received third hand or is being assumed. And that's because the average man is the bane of the modern woman's existence. She doesn't want to believe that average men have anything to offer, to the point where they're not only dusty and broke, they're also toxic and entitled. You know, the same charming traits that can be found in the average modern woman. The only difference is when a modern woman gets rejected, she has every right to go on profanity-laden rants, and she may earn her own money, but she's owed a free meal because women weren't allowed to have bank accounts until 1983. And she can accuse men of being perverted psychopaths because a dude smiled at her once. It's the 21st century. Double standards are the only standards that matter now.
No, that is not true.
If all the people that you're seeing on Hinge are dusty and crusty, no, it's not where you live. No, there's not something wrong with you. There's something wrong with your Hinge. I'm gonna show you how to fix it. This actually works, okay? This is like the only thing that works. I learned this on TikTok. I don't know who it was at this point because I did this like a few weeks ago, but shout out to whoever figured this out. Go to settings and then delete your account. But don't actually delete your account, okay? Don't delete it, but pretend like you're gonna delete your account. It should prompt you to do this. I don't know if this is what it looks like because like I said, I can't do it again. I don't remember if this is like the updated screen of what it looks like, but it's something along these lines of like you're getting a fresh start. My experience with this was that I started getting a ton of likes immediately and it hasn't slowed down. Like I told you, this was weeks ago. Every time I check Hinge, I have like 10 new likes. It's crazy. And it was never like that before.
I can't vouch for anyone else, but when I think about artificial intelligence and algorithms destroying modern society, I always assume that AI would become sentient and then somehow hack its way into nuclear weapon systems and destroy humanity that way. But once again, I find that movies have failed me and proves the fact that the reality is as dull and uninspiring as it is absolutely horrifying. Dating apps were obviously created to keep women single. We know this. The majority of dating app users are men, and what good is a dating app when it's a total sausage fest? So the apps are designed to give women the illusion of choice that they have significantly more options than they actually do. And the more attention they get, the more likely they're going to keep using the app. So instead of finding a mate and starting a family, she'll stay on the apps and trick herself into thinking that all of the Ray-Rays of the world want to get with her, thus keeping her in a perpetual cycle of singledom until she's knocking on menopause's door and she's no longer able to breed, thus forcing humanity into a catastrophic depopulation crisis. It's just as efficient as nuclear Armageddon, but keeps the infrastructure intact for our robot overlords.
Initially, a lot of the likes that I was getting when I first did this were people that had liked me and I had like passed over, like they just weren't my type or didn't seem like good quality men, and so I just X'd them out. And so like doing this, it did like, I guess, re-serve my profile to people that I had already passed up on. However, as time went on, I noticed, and I don't know if like I was pickier with like the people that I started liking back, or I maybe just because I was getting more matches, so the algorithm like favored me higher, but I started getting just like better quality men. Because previously the men that I was seeing, like I live in San Diego, there's hot people everywhere you look. But that was not, like, you would see, like, not people that were even just liking me, like, people that were getting served to me to, like or dislike. They weren't representative of, like, what I literally see when I leave my house. So it just, I knew something was off. So once I did this, the quality of men, just in every facet, much better, way better.
Come to think of it, another benefit to utilizing the apps this way is to allow these businesses to squeeze out as much profit as humanly possible from these hopelessly single broads. Once again, a dating app that only has straight men is about as useful as a modern woman in a kitchen. So one must ask themselves, what good is a dating app without women? The answer is simple, it's not. So these apps will do everything they can to keep women on the apps to make sure they're bringing in as many mad ducats for these soulless corporations as possible. It actually provides an alternative scenario for a dystopian nightmare where these corporations make so much money that they end up becoming so powerful that they become the de facto governing body of the world where everybody must rely on them for their survival. And because the people must suckle at the corporate teat for their way of life, it'll make them much easier to control, especially when they're kept in line with an army of robot overlords.
And I know that this is not just like a me thing. I know it's because of this like Hinge reset, because like obviously I'm having these results with it. The creator who I learned this from said the same thing, and then I tested it with my friend who was also having a similar issue with Hinge. We literally did at the bar. I was like, check your phone in 10 minutes, you're gonna have like 10 likes. And she did, and now she's like, we're both like overwhelmed with it. So just try it. I mean, if you're like at your wit's end with this dumbass app, what do you have to lose?
I quit. I quit.
Lady, you should probably take a second to use the last of your brain cells to think about something. You're telling the entire internet that you would rather stay single and oogle at obvious bot accounts on a dating app than go outside and interact with actual people. And it's come to the point where your brain can't even tell the difference anymore. Maybe that's going to be Armageddon. An entire population of dopamine-addled idiots who can't even see the big picture of the damage that's going on around them. I mean, they do say Idiocracy is a documentary, but I don't fully agree with that assessment. If that was the case, there would be a massive cabal of billionaires who control the entire planet from underground bunkers where they have limitless access to knowledge, healthy food, and intellectual entertainment. That way they can remain in control while the remainder of the human population remains completely oblivious to their surroundings. This makes the most sense as it's the one scenario where people can be easily entertained by dick and fart jokes. And at least this scenario allows us to laugh our asses off as society crumbles all around us. And it also has the added benefit of making an entire population of idiots, so there's really no need for robot overlords. I mean, don't get me wrong, they will most definitely be there. I mean, how can they not? Armageddon is nothing without robot overlords.
That's funny because it's so true.
Once when I was the manager at Screwfix, right, this guy come in and he ordered 3 big bags of Leveler. Now, Leveler is about 20 kg and I can lift 2 or 3 on my own.
Right.
Right, but I did go to this guy because they are at the back of the warehouse. I was like, look, do you want me to just bring to the back of the warehouse so we can pop them straight in your car? He was like, no, bring them down and parked out front. I was like, fine. Fucking secretly swearing because I was sweltering, right? Brought them down. I was like, here you go, right? And this guy, he looked like he went gym, yeah? Like, he looked like he went gym. I was like, he's gonna lift these easy. He couldn't lift a bag. Could not lift one bag. It was actually quite embarrassing for him.
A smelly fish. And it's not a cod.
Translation, a good-looking contractor came to her store needing to buy some bags of Leveler. She tried flirting with him and he clearly wasn't interested. So instead of accepting rejection, she finds some kind of an excuse to resent him and actually takes time out of her life to make herself look like she's a boss bae yas queen somehow. She throws 112 pounds worth of Leveler onto a cart and hauls it over to him as the sweltering heat makes her feel weak and entitled. He then takes the bags of Leveler, throws them into the bed of his trunk without incident, and moves on with his life. The only part of this story that I find even remotely believable is how you were muttering obscenities within earshot of him while he rejected your advances. And that's because this man had better things to do than waste his time talking to an average-looking broad whose future is in the spice mining industry. He's too busy actually contributing something to society, woman, and his time is significantly more valuable than yours. Every minute wasted at your place of business is more time he has to spend on the job, and that means losing money, which is a concept that you will always fail to grasp.
And I was like, do you want some help? He was like, is it too late to take round back? And I was like, yeah. He was like, well, do you know when you go out the gym and you fail a set and you're like, oh, you know, hurt myself? That's what he did, but I really don't think he did hurt himself because like 2 minutes before he was talking like Bobby Big Bollocks. So I was like, look, I'll take him to your car for you. Got my high vis on, yeah? Took all fucking 3 to his car, like this.
Liar, liar, liar.
Put him in his car and then he was like, so can I have your number? I was like, absolutely not. If you can't lift 60 kg of Leveler, how are you lifting me up? Absolutely not.
You know, you're really just full of shit. There's the John. Okay?
I hate to break it to you, sister, but you're one of the worst liars I have ever seen. Now, this must have been one of the most giga of giga chats for you to constantly be shooting your shot to a dude who wasn't interested in you in the first place. And he was probably frustrated by now because you were reaching levels of unprofessionalism that borderline on harassment. Even if this dude's arms were so exhausted that he couldn't lift the bags, a scenario I find highly unlikely, that happened because he's an actual working man. He uses his body to benefit people, and that's respectable. You're a working girl. You use your body to benefit from people, and that is not respectable. He wasn't embarrassed. You were. and you were harassing this guy, and all he wanted to do was get back to his job. And you can't stand the mere idea of living in a world where the god emperor known as Pookiekus wants nothing to do with you. But that's because you're a dullard internet avenue stroller who is so desperate for content that you created a false story that has more plot holes than your typical Disney Star Wars series. And much like the aforementioned series, you make no sense, full of victimhood, and not even worth a quarter of what you charge for people to watch. And that's gonna do it for today's video, gentlemen and gents. And as always, if you find that my particular brand of humor is bringing you to the brink of laughter, then why don't you scroll on down and click that like and subscribe button. Ring the notification bell and leave a couple of comments, and make sure to share this video so we can get together and give the good old-fashioned middle finger to the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much for checking out the new video, guys, and until next time, peace out, homies.